guys, welcome to my video, Perry Arts. We're at home today, and like you, we can't get into the studio and we can't have our regular pottery classes. So if you're working at home, I did go over the videos that I have on my blog already, and there's videos there on how to do pinch pots and how to do wedging and some surface design stuff and coil pots. But what there isn't is how to do slabs at home, because to be honest with you, I'd rather do slabs in the studio because we have the slab roller. But it's not impossible to do at home. And if you have a few pottery tools at home, you know, the few favorites are a tool like this, something with a rounded end and something with a pointy end, wooden, a clay knife, something to cut your clay with so you can make them yourself with fishing line, and wine corks work great. You probably, if you're doing clay, have a rubber rib and a serrated rib, but these are not necessary. So anything you do have on hand at home, you can just sort of use. Most potters that I know are great collectors of things, and you just keep a toolbox and keep it all in there. So what we will need for making slabs is a rolling pin. Mine's quite small. Or something round that rolls. So whatever you have on hand, whatever works. So I'm just going to wedge up this clay really quickly, just to go over wedging one more time. And what I've got set up here is canvas over a board that I've stapled on the back, and I just put this down on my kitchen table and it works great. Usually I clamp it down when I'm wedging so that it doesn't move too much, but you can see, you know, without the clamps it's a bit awkward. It shifts a bit, but it's not terrible. So just to go over what you'll need to work with clay at home is a bucket with warm water, and I like to have a little clay sponge in there, or something specific to clay. Don't put this is for your washing up, washing your hands, washing your tools. This is for everything. I have a sink here, I'm not going to use it. But you know, if you have any kind of bucket, you can just toss this outside later. So you're going to need a surface that you can keep separate from your food. So this is my clay working surface, and the table is my food working surface. I don't mix the two. And then any tools that I use for clay, I don't go back and use them for food in the kitchen. So in addition, you're going to need some slip and a paintbrush. So I'm just making some slip here by putting some dried clay from the clay body that I'm working with. And for our purposes, we're working with low fire clay. This is a low fire white clay, but I also work with terracotta, and you can see that the red clay has stained my canvas a bit, but it's not picking up, and I'm not fussy about it. So I'm going to compress the clay particles with a rubber rib. So that's why I'm saying it's handy if you have something like this on hand. Otherwise, anything sort of soft and rubbery will work. I'm particularly thinking of yogurt container lids. You could probably cut them down to have a straight edge, and that would... I went ahead and made a rubber rib from a yogurt lid. So this actually works pretty good, not bad. And this just compresses the particles both directions. Both sides. So let me reiterate, this is the making do version of how to do slabs at home if we're not in the studio or and we don't have our regular clay tools. So if you don't have, you know, the tools that you normally have in the studio, like these ones, some of the ones that I sort of collect on the go that work really well are chopsticks. The square end actually is useful sometimes, and the round end too. But the round end is not good for writing. So if you're going to be writing your name or anything like that on the clay, or the cone, if you need to make a note of what temperature you're going to fire it at. And these skewers are the perfect writing tool. And coffee sticks. So these work really, you know, these are handy little tools too. So those are just some tips if you don't have your regular tools on you. So, but for our purposes, I do actually have a turntable, and it might be useful for this part of it. But we're gonna do that in a minute. Let's get the beauty of slab is applying texture. So I've got this fun texture that I haven't tried before, so I wanted to try it. It's been hanging out in my clay closet, just waiting for an opportunity. So that's a cool texture. So we want to soften that up. So on the wheel, these chamois work great. You can just put it on the wheel and turn it. But I've got this handy little thing. Again, it's just something I found on the beach one day, one summer. But it's a piece of leather or chamois. Works really well to just smooth out your edges